Next, let's talk about JavaScript. Not to be confused with Java, this is not Java. JavaScript is the programming language of the web. It breathes life into websites, making them more interactive, interesting to use, and user friendly. Almost every website on the World Wide Web uses JavaScript. JavaScript is one of the most popular web development languages and among the most powerful programming languages out there. Therefore, JavaScript's programming language is sought after skill on the job market. Different frameworks such as AngularJS, jQuery, React make using JavaScript for front-end development even more efficient and interesting. JavaScript is a client-side language itself, meaning that the code executed on the user's browser. However, with technologies such as Node.js, we can execute this code on server side too. This makes JavaScript even more powerful through the additional versatility, ultimately making it a full stack language. What are the use cases? So JavaScript is used for the front-end development. With the use of Node.js, we can use it for the backend too, but other backend languages used are like C++, Python, etc. It is also used for mobile apps when it is used with the React Native framework. So React Native will be a cross-platform coding, and this will help you to build both Android and iOS app together, plus a web app also. So the question is, should you learn it? If you want to become a front-end developer, you have to learn JavaScript at some point. Pair it with HTML and CSS. You have got a complete portfolio of skills to get your first front-end developer job. Also, JavaScript is one of the most popular and best programming languages for web development at the moment. Hence, you won't have any trouble finding a job once you master JavaScript. Its popularity just seems to grow with new front-end frameworks appearing out of thin air on a regular basis. So understanding the basics of JavaScript will help you to get along with any framework used for front-end. I will be also linking some courses and free tutorial in the description where you can learn about JavaScript. Next, let's talk about Objective-C. This is the primary language used by Apple for developing programs for Mac, OS X and iOS before Swift came. So this is primarily used for mobile and app development for Mac OS and iOS in the 80s and before the Swift became popular. However, it is not easy to learn and it's not very beginner friendly to start with. So the question is, should you learn Objective-C? I would say this is not required because nowadays everything is moved to Swift for iOS, Mac OS or any other Apple products programs. Next, let's talk about Perl. Perl is a high-level scripting language that first appeared in 1987 and has since developed into a small family of two separate languages, Perl 5 and Perl 6. What Perl was originally meant for was text processing and manipulation, but it has since found further application ranging from web development to system administrations. Perl evolved throughout the years into a powerful tool that can be used on pretty much any operating system on the planet. Therefore, it's sometimes referred to as Swiss Army knife of computer languages too. Perl takes its best features from other programming languages such as C. It's comparable to PHP, Python to a certain extent. However, in contrast to Python, Perl usually offers multiple solutions to a single problem. This way, it's similar to Ruby too, where there is no single best way to solve a specific problem. If you're a beginner programmer, keep in mind that Perl comes with a few somewhat daunting features like any other programming language. For example, it's famous for the overflowing use of confusing symbols in its syntax, so the code might look a bit overwhelming for a beginner at first glance. The use cases range from network programming, graphic user interface development, and web development. So the question is, should you learn it? Perl is a powerful and versatile programming language. Once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult to learn. However, if you want to get a developer job in future, Perl is not a common language used by most of the companies. unless they are looking specifically for a Perl developer. So I would not suggest to spend your time on learning this language as your primary language. Next, let's go to PHP. PHP is a scripting language just like a Perl, running on the server side to create web pages written in HTML. It is relatively easy language to use for new developers, making it one of the most popular programming languages out there. In fact, 80% of the top 10 million websites currently use PHP. Interestingly enough, PHP was never really intended to become a programming language. It was originally created to be the toolset to help its creator, Rasmus, maintain his personal home page. PHP. That aside, PHP has since become one of the most popular scripting language on the web. Being a server-side language, just like Python and Perl, PHP can do things such as creating login pages, photo galleries, discussion forums, and much more. Websites employing PHP include some familiar sites like WordPress, Facebook, and Tumblr. Use cases of PHP is primarily backend development, then WordPress development. Now the question is, should you learn it? Since PHP is easy to get started with, it's a great choice for a beginner programmer. Additionally, PHP is most useful programming language for WordPress development. So if you're looking forward to be a WordPress developer, you can go and learn PHP. Or if you want to be a full stack or a backend developer, you can again choose PHP and learn it. But for backend development, you again have a lot of other options, like you can go with Django or Flask, which uses Python, or React Native, JavaScript, and many others. So it's up to you. If you go and surf through the language, if you find it interesting than any other language, then yeah, then go ahead and learn PHP. But it's not a must, I would say. But if you are into it, yeah, obviously you can learn it. Now let's talk about Python, which is my favorite language. Python is one of the most beginner friendly programming languages out there. It is very easy to learn and it can be used in many scenarios. If you're new to coding, Python is a perfect for learning the fundamentals of programming. I would also say this is one of the best language to use any interviews because there is very less code to write so that you can save time. It reads a lot like English, so it's relatively intuitive to learn and easy to pick up. This means you can dedicate more time to learning what programming is all about instead of learning syntaxes of the language itself. Python is also a versatile programming language that you can use for a variety of different coding projects like data mining, data analysis, data processing, data engineering, machine learning, web application, game developments, etc. Python offers a vast collection of libraries, packages, and frameworks so that you can get started with any projects you can imagine. It's primarily used for, or it's mostly used for all the data visualization or data engineering projects, machine learning, AI, natural language processing, and backend development. It is also used for game development, programming the core algorithms and fundamentals for certain softwares or certain products, etc. Now, if you ask me, should you learn it? I would say definitely yes. Python is one of the most important language that I would say you should learn unless your interest doesn't lie with any of the mentioned use cases. If you want to be just an Android developer, there is not much use of learning Python. Or if you want to be a front-end developer, again there is no point of learning Python. But apart from that, almost any other use cases, Python really helps. So you can learn Python and develop a good projects based on that. Next, we have following languages remaining. So Ruby, SQL, Swift, and Golang. So let me go over it and quickly cover the most important parts of these languages. Ruby is primarily used for backend development and data analysis. It's one of the most fun and creative programming language to work with because you will most often find several ways to solve a specific problem. Learning Ruby will definitely reward you with a steep learning curve and seeing results fairly quickly. For instance, you can build a web application from scratch surprisingly fast using Ruby on Rails framework. Now, should you learn Ruby? If you're interested in quick progress and creating an entire application from scratch, even just by yourself, Ruby is the most powerful programming language to see results quickly. Pair it with Ruby on Rails framework and you can build a web app faster than you expected. Above all, Ruby is popular among small tech companies, so that's the segment you want to work in at some point. Ruby could be your cup of tea. But the demand for job with the Ruby programming language is pretty less as compared to any other, compared to Python or PHP. So I would say if you are keen on just a specific use case, then go with Ruby. Otherwise, I would suggest you to go and learn Python instead of Ruby. Next, let's talk about SQL or structured query language. This is the most common language used for managing data stored in a database system, or it's a relational database management system. You can't imagine how much data companies store in their databases these days. Knowing how to use SQL to manage and analyze this massive amount of data is a valuable skill in the job market. So basically, SQL is used to query the data from the database. Okay. So whatever structured database or relational database they have, we need SQL to query them and get the output from that. Business need people who can sift through the database and help them draw conclusion from them. For example, data analysts at Amazon create demand forecast before Christmas to prepare and pre-pack millions of items for customers who are likely to order them before holidays. In a similar way, airlines sift through their past bookings for forecast demand for flights in the future. That's how they know how many tickets they can sell at a higher price for each individual flight. Yep, that's why you are paying a fortune for flights during holidays. That said, understanding how data can be used in a sensible way to gain insights into customer behavior, for instance, is a skill in high demand in the job market these days. SQL is a language or a skill that you cannot avoid. So you must learn SQL. Understanding how data can be used in a sensible way to gain insight into customer behavior, this skill is high in demand in today's job market. Even if you're not aiming to become a data analyst yourself, basic SQL skills will be advantage in terms of being aware of possibilities data mining offers. And it is highly unlikely to get a job without knowing basics of SQL. So this is a must learn for everyone. Next, let's go to Swift. Swift is a programming language used by Apple, and this is primarily used to develop applications for their iOS, macOS, or any other products they have like iPad or watches, etc. If you are into developing programs for any Apple platforms, I would suggest you to learn Swift for that purpose. Every Android developer should also know this. That's my personal preference because it's you should not be limited to one particular operating system's app development. You should be versatile and you should be knowing both the platform's coding and both the platform's app development. So if you are into app development, whether it's Android or iOS, you should learn Swift. Next, let's talk about Golang. Golang is the language used in Google and they are primarily used for any of their internal products and software they use. Golang has a fast and has a simple syntax allowing anyone to pick up the programming language. It comes with cross-platform. It is a cross-platform language and it is very easy to learn. It's mostly limited to Google and some startups have started to use this, but the job market for Golang is pretty low as compared to Python or Java, I would say. So if you are interested and like to explore this language, then go ahead. Otherwise, it's not a compulsory to learn. So I hope you got a basic overall idea about the 15 languages we have covered today. If you have any doubts, please comment them. And if you want to know more about specific projects, you can start with in your like a BTech or in your masters. Please comment them down. I can make a video say, explaining various projects that's nowadays in high demand, and maybe we can work together and build a good portfolio for every one of you. I hope you liked today's video. Please like and comment down any of your queries or questions. So hope to see you on the next video. Thank you and have a good day.